Welcome to the Filmtrepreneur Podcast, episode number 10. Skills are cheap. Passion is priceless. Gary Vaynerchuk.
This is the Filmtrepreneur Podcast, where we teach you the top strategies, tactics, and growth hacks that every indie filmmaker needs to know to make money with their films. We are the podcast that puts the business back into show business. And here's your host, Alex Ferrari.
Welcome to another episode of the Filmtrepreneur Podcast. I am your humble host, Alex Ferrari. Today's show is sponsored by Black Box. Now, guys, as filmtrepreneurs, we're always looking for a little bit of side cash, a little bit of extra revenue streams, and Black Box does that in spades. What they do is allows you to sell your stock footage, footage that's sitting around in your hard drive from old shoots or stuff that you're actually creating for the stock footage market, but it allows you to submit to all the stock footage platforms at once. It handles all the technical submitting and also payments, so you can get all your payments out of one platform as opposed to going to all these other places and signing up everywhere. It does it all for you. I've created a really, really nice revenue stream from Black Box, and it is a passive revenue stream, which is amazing. So if you want to check it out, head over to blackbox.global to find out more. Today's show is also sponsored by Full-Time Filmmaker. Now, Full-Time Filmmaker is easily one of the craziest online film schools I've ever seen. It has over 40 hours of stuff, and it is amazing. Whether you're just starting out or you've been a filmmaker for a long time, this course really covers a lot. It goes into all the equipment you should buy, the technical aspects of things, the creative aspects, as well as editing. So he has a full course on Premiere Pro, on Final Cut X, and then also goes really deep into the business of how to make money, steps to making money, sources of revenue, how much you should charge, all of this kind of stuff. It's really about building a business as a filmmaker, shooting a lot of different projects and making a business so you can actually then go after making feature films, television series, or whatever else creatively you want. You can actually make a living doing this. It's pretty amazing. So if you want to check out this course, head over to filmtrepreneur.com/FTF. That's filmtrepreneur.com/FTF. Today on the show, we have an awesome, inspiring filmtrepreneur story. We have filmmaker Antonio Pantoja, who is the director of One Must Fall, a horror film he made for under $25 million, let's say. And I wanted to bring him on the show. I had him on the show on Indie Film Hustles podcast, which I'll put a link in the show notes as well, which was a really inspirational show. But I wanted to go deep into not only how he made the film, but more specifically how he's distributing the film, how his conversations with traditional distributors have gone. And a lot of the things I warn about are exactly what he was prepared for by listening to the podcast. And also the ancillary products he was able to create, revenue streams he's been able to create so far, and how he used a hometown screening to generate a really good revenue stream. I mean, he sold about, I think it was 1,200 tickets to this insane event that he created, and we're going to get all into that, man. So this is a true filmtrepreneur you're about to listen to. Without any further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Antonio Pantoja. I'd like to welcome to the show Antonio Pantoja, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show, brother.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, man. You were a guest, a very popular guest on the Indie Film Hustle podcast, and I've invited you over to the Filmtrepreneur side because honestly, you're one of the reasons why I decided to open up Filmtrepreneur, because of a lot of the stuff that you learned by listening to Indie Film Hustle and things that I learned by listening to what you were doing. I said, man, we really need to create something that really does a deep dive into the Filmtrepreneur model and making money with your film and turning your movie into a business and things like that. So thank you for the inspiration as well, sir.
Oh, that means the world. Well, honestly, I think it's a long time coming. There's nothing out there like that exists. And I really just followed your blueprint. And what's funny is I think your show is more than just filmmaking. So I always encourage other people to listen to the show who maybe they're not even into filmmaking whatsoever, but the lessons that I've taken from your show, you transformed my life, man. You really did. So
I appreciate that.
I lost, 45 pounds now.
You look great too, man. But I was going to say, you look great, man. Yeah,
man, that means the world. But it's because of you. Like on the show, you said, I had to get my life in order, and in order to get other things in order, I had to get this in order, and I had to make it a priority. Mm-hmm. And then I just followed, what you were doing, and you even gave me advice directly on I had like this crazy muscle soreness, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to shoot. And you were like, man, glutamine, and it worked. And it's just so funny that how much you affect people indirectly, how your voice has affected so many people, just like myself. So, and I think this is, like you said, it's a deeper dive. It's more granular and more finite on how you can help them further.
Yeah, I hope so, man. And then also the other area of Filmtrepreneur I really want to dig into is self-development. Is that thing of like breaking down those obstacles? Because I could teach you how to make money in movies and how to make a movie, but if you can't get out of your own way, what's the point?
Yeah. And I mean, even like your meditation tactics, like I've even considered I've bought like audiobooks on how to do that, because you described it, how you get into it and how it's a little different than everybody else does it. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to try to find mine. I've always wanted to, but it wasn't until you said it and you described it and you put like a description out there on how you did it and how it has affected you that I actually had any interest in it whatsoever. So, I mean, I think it's a big package, man, that comes with not just Indie Film Hustle, not just Filmtrepreneur, but everything that you teach, and I think all of that is going to be encompassed in Filmtrepreneur.
I hope so, man. I hope so. We're hustling out here. We're hustling, trying to do the good work, buddy. Trying to do the good work.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right. So let's do a deep dive into your film, One Must Fall. Now we talked. I want to, for everyone listening, what is the origin story of this film? What made you want to make this film? So,
unfortunately, it wasn't one of those movies that I'd been sitting on for 10 years, and I'm sitting on the script and I'm shopping it around. Mm-hmm. I just really wanted to make something. So I made a bunch of short films, and then my wife left town with the kids for a full week, and she said, "I'll give you 1 week to write this thing. I'm going to take the kids. We're going on vacation. You got your time alone, because I need time alone to write."
It's a good woman.
You got to come up with something. Yeah, she's
that's
awesome.
A good woman.
You got to come up with something within a week. So I knew that I wanted to make a slasher film, because on my budget level, I knew that I had to do I wanted to do horror anyways, but I wanted to do a slasher film, but I also wanted to remove technology from the film, because I feel like it's so cheap when they're like, hey, I got no coverage here. That's really bizarre. That's weird. I got no coverage, so the killer's going to come and kill us. So I thought that wasn't a route that I wanted to go, and I knew it would be really difficult to make a period piece in order to get rid of technology, because I felt it ruined the slasher. So I was thinking, I'm like, man, I'm not even going to be able to afford the clothes for it. Like the wardrobe is going to exceed my budget, really. So I said, well, what have people worn throughout, history that's always been the same? It's always been universal. And I'm like, hazmat suits. And I'm like, well, what is hazmat suits? What do people do in hazmat suits? There's crime scene cleanup crews. And I was like, what if there was a crime scene cleanup crew, because they go to the job first after like there's a homicide or something. But what if the killer wasn't apprehended and they were locked in with the killer? Then what would happen? And then so I think that budget limitations actually can make you super creative. If you knew that you only had access to like a samurai sword and like your aunt's diner or something, you'd probably make something really dope,
I want to see that movie, by the way. I want to see that movie, by the way. The Samurai Sword Diner movie. I want to see that movie.
It would probably be really dope. But I think with limitations, it can make you super creative. So, and budget limitations alike. So I think that that's kind of what directed me on that path, of making this film. And same thing with the next film. I got a little bit more budget for the next film, but it's the same thing. It makes you ultra creative because you have to stay within a certain limitation. I think that's awesome.
Very cool. Now, how did you picked your niche? You already knew what niche you wanted to go into. Did you do any market research to feel like, how am I going to sell this movie to that niche?
Yeah. So you basically like, I knew that. So on your show, you have described, and I don't want to like plug Indie Film Hustle so much.
It's fine. It's fine.
So like I've been doing this now for the better part of 10 years, but until I came across Indie Film Hustle, I didn't know about like marketing my film. I didn't know about anything. But on your show, you're like, you need to join Facebook groups within your niche, and you need to have a presence there, whatever that niche is. Whether it's, I mean, there's a millionaire who made the sriracha hot sauce documentary, and she found the niche or whatever. She found the niche. And she marketed directly to those people because that's what they want. They needed that. So in your description, you said you need to find those groups, you need to find your target audience, and you need to get in front of them and build your name. So that's exactly what I did. I joined all of the horror groups that I knew of, and I just shared content, whether it was relatable or it was healthy and valuable or whatever. I just wanted to make sure that my name was known in there before I made the film. And then I made the film, and then I already had an audience. So like that's how I essentially built the audience who was going to look at it. But I knew before then that like horror fans, they're like, I don't know any NASCAR fans personally, but I know that NASCAR fans are diehard. Like if their favorite driver drinks Mountain Dew, they're going to drink Mountain Dew. That's it, you know? Mm-hmm. And horror fans are kind of the same way. Horror fans will go to conventions, they'll get tattoos, they'll pay $80 to meet their favorite horror icon or whatever. So I knew all that stuff, and I'm a horror fan, so I'm a diehard horror fan, so I'm that guy too. So I knew that I had to make something that was like for me and that audience. But it was because that I came across the show. Again, like I hate to keep plugging the show because I am a fanboy of it. I've listened to every episode, over 300 now. But it's the truth. Early on, you said the riches are in the niches, and it doesn't matter if it's an olive oil. Was it? No, you say a vegan chef.
Yes, the vegan chef movie.
Yeah. So you said you always say that, and that's the truth. So you have to find your niche at our budget level. If you're going to do a micro budget indie, you are going to have to niche out
without question. And what I find always is it best for filmmakers is that if they go to a niche that they are themselves a part of. So you know this audience because you are the avatar, you are the perfect consumer for the product you're creating. So you even understand the language they speak, the history of that niche. You have years of market research in that niche, just like I did when I opened up Indie Film Hustle, when I distributed my very first short film, Broken, when I sold it to filmmakers, because I knew those customers, that audience, because I was that audience. So I always say, if it's going to be your first movie, try to find a niche that's of something that you already have a deep, deep well of information about, because it'll just make it all the much better, as opposed to making the jelly bean movie, where I don't particularly like jelly beans, but there's a big need for a jelly bean movie all of a sudden, and you have to do a lot of research about that. You're not going to be able to. It's going to take you a little longer. Do you agree?
Oh, I agree. I think that then it's genuine. So like just like you're saying, I think that there's somebody who's listening to this right now who's like, ooh, I know that Fortnite's popular. I never played it, but I'm going to go make a Fortnite movie. And, but if you're not truly passionate about it, then that's going to show through in the film, and it's got to be genuine and from the heart and something that you really, really know. And yeah, you could probably go and do like a ton of market research on Fortnite and stuff. But if you're not truly passionate about it, if you not love it, if you didn't come in it, when it came out and all that stuff, then it's probably not the right thing for you to do. But yeah, I agree 100%. Totally.
Now, normally I would ask on the show what the budget of your movie is. And this is a lesson that I want everyone to listen to right now. There was a movie, I'm not kidding you. There was a movie with a director friend of mine who is a big time director. He's done studio movies and everything like that. And he made a micro budget film with an actress who is a big actress. And they all did it really fun and everything. And while she was doing an interview, they were in negotiations to buy that film for, I think it was going to be like $500,000 they were going to pay for this micro budget film because she's a big star. She was in an interview and said the budget of the film, which happened to be like $5,000. And all of a sudden that deal went away purely because they made the mistake of releasing that information. So I do ask the budget of the film on the show many times with other guests. But if you are that's generally after you've done the movie, after you've done the release, after those deals have been done, then you should release that information. I know you're in the middle of those deals as we speak, so I advise you not to say it, but we're going to say it's under $500,000. Is that a fair assumption?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And thank you so much for taking that consideration because, that's like a question that pops up on every single interview that I've been in. And I have, the same answer. And you just proactively said it before I could even speak, which is, I think that's perfect. And you know this industry, I think, so well that you know the filmmaker and you have their best interest in mind. And I think it's something that no one else does. And like that right there, just what you said, is testimony.
I appreciate that, brother. Now, when you were developing your film, did you think of product lines or other things, ancillary product lines, services, online digital products, physical products that you could have created for this film? And at what point, if you did, at what point did you start thinking about those?
I did not. And the reason why was because the Drew Marvick episode came on after I already shot One Must Fall. So Drew Marvick came on Indie Film Hustle, and he was talking about how he basically he netted out, a positive on his film because he sold ancillary products on it. So he was selling like buttons and hats and posters and just anything else but the DVD itself, pretty much. Mm-hmm. So anything else, that's what ancillary products are for anybody who's listening and is curious. Anything else but that, like the Disney movie Frozen, they outsold the sale of the movie by like tenfold on posters and toys and, costumes and things like that. So that's something that Alex always preaches that you got to consider, thinking about even before you start the film. Like I've got the Bad MF wallet from Pulp Fiction. They probably sold millions of those things.
Do you know how much they made? Do you know how much they made off the Frozen dresses? The dresses like that my daughters bought back in the day when Frozen was a thing. Do you know how much they made on the dresses? $1 billion on the dresses alone, not the lunchboxes, not the T-shirts, not the dolls, the dresses alone. Just so you understand, like George Lucas says, the money's in the lunchboxes, baby. The money's in the lunchboxes.
Yeah, and that's another great example of Star Wars. God bless. But yeah, so I think that's something that people should consider even like during the writing process, and throwing in things like that there. And I didn't know that because, like I said, so Indie Film Hustle was my film school. So when I finally finished One Must Fall, Drew Marvick came on the show, and he's amazing. He made a film called Pool Party Massacre.
Yeah, great.
And, like, killing it at the festivals. He's all over the convention circuit. The dude is awesome, Drew Marvick. He's a great guy, and that's what he does. He figured out his niche was the ancillary market and at the conventions and things that people would like to have. So I think that's something that people should consider. But no, I didn't consider that for One Must Fall, because I just didn't know the power of it until people came on your show and talked about it.
But you do sell T-shirts and stuff now.
Yeah,
I've seen them.
Now I do. Yeah, and honestly, like you could get a Blu-ray and stuff, and you could sell a Blu-ray for 10 or 20 or whatever you want to sell it for. You could sell a T-shirt for the same thing and make just as much money, if not more, than your actual movie. So I think that's brilliant that you and Drew Marvick had discussed that. And I think that's essentially why you literally brought him on the show, because you had talked about it before. Mm-hmm. But I just didn't know to what degree how effective that is. And yeah, you got to be thinking of those things. I even have like posters that are signed by the cast, and I made sure I got like a really good poster and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Like Christopher Schei, who did Mandy and Godzilla and Evil Dead re-release and all this stuff. Yeah,
how did you get such an amazing artist? Because both you and Drew did something, especially in the horror genre, which I'm now seeing as a pattern, a good pattern, is you get insanely awesome artwork, because that is what that niche loves. They regardless if they even see your movie. I know Drew sold T-shirts because that poster was so amazing. And when I saw your poster, I was like, God, this is gorgeous. How did you reach out to such an impressive, poster designer and have him work on your under $500,000 budget film?
Thank you so much for saying that. But, so anybody that I've met like that, I just reach out to them literally. And and I think that, I hate to say this because this is so stupid, but if you have a professional headshot and your Facebook doesn't have you drunk every night at the bar or something like that, because they check all that stuff out if you're reaching out on Facebook. If you're going to send an email, then have a professional headshot and stuff. And I know it's really hard to come by and stuff, but people have to take you seriously, and you have to know how you're representing yourself, And if you reach out to somebody and you're a little rude, or you come across wrong, or you don't engage them within the first 2 seconds, then they might not say anything back. But I've had a lot of luck reaching out to people who really inspire me, who I really look up to. But I just literally reach out to them with 100% respect, and then I make sure that my Facebook isn't a diary, full of trash talking and stuff like that, or drugs and all this nutty stuff. But I think all that stuff is super important. And I reached out to Christopher Schei, who did, but this was 6 years ago. So I reached out to him a long time ago, and he had done it wasn't fan art, but he wasn't into the re-releases of films yet. And then, and I was like, dude, your work is amazing. If I ever do a movie, I would love it if you would consider working with me. And he's like, yeah, dude. So he gave me a price at that time. And then he got Mandy, Godzilla, The Thing re-release, like all these like amazing posters, The Shining re-release, all these crazy ones. And he was doing all the Blu-rays for him. And then I hit him back and I'm like, dude, you're probably never going to respond. You're probably long gone now. But would you still be willing to work with me? And he's like, you know what? I'll even honor that old price that I gave you. And he did. Yeah. And he was so cool, man. And like now we're good friends, and like he's going to help me on the next project. And he's doing a portrait of me right now. Like he's just a super cool guy.
That's awesome. It's
super cool.
Dude.
And then also there was a Nathan Thomas Milliner who does he did like Halloween 2 and Halloween 3 and like Sleepaway Camp and all these amazing movies. And I'm like, there's no way this guy's ever going to respond to me. And I hit him up and he did, and then we met halfway because we live pretty far apart. And then we met and he was interested in working on it. But I think you just got to shoot your shot. But before you do, you got to have all your stuff in order and make sure you're not, your Facebook looks clean or your email address is clean. If somebody Googles you, there's nothing bad out there.
So there's two things that come to mind when you said all of this. First of all, personal branding. That is so, so important because when I reach out to people, people who don't know who I am and I'm reaching out to them to be a guest or something like that on the show, when they come to my website, they go to my, like, oh, this guy is, he's serious. He's got a fan, he's got a following. And my site looks professional. It looks like there's engagement. And my Facebook, I do the same thing. I don't put up drunken pictures. Not that I've ever been drunken, but anything like that. And it is about professional branding and personal branding that filmmakers also don't get. That is part of this equation. So that's one thing I wanted to kind of bring out there and everybody know how important that is. And that's a perfect example, especially when you're reaching out to these heavy hitters. If you are lucky enough to get their attention, you better bring the heat and make sure your stuff is tight. If not, you're going to lose that opportunity. Secondly, another thing that I'm noticing that you did, and again, in your niche, in the horror niche, you're reaching out to people in the horror niche, like artists, like the artist you're talking about, who has a reputation in the horror niche. And because you're using him to do your poster, all of a sudden that brings attention to your movie and everything purely because of the artist. So it's kind of like stunt casting, but on the back end, which is really insane. And you could do that with a composer who's really famous or a DP who's really famous, in the niche, that if that's a thing in your niche, but the art, especially artwork in the horror genre, like if you're making a comic book movie and you bring in McFarlane to do your movie poster, that's probably a big deal. You know what I mean? So that's something else that filmmakers or filmtrepreneurs should really think about when designing their whole model.
Dude, I agree 100%. So, and you do have to piggyback sometime on somebody else's following. You had a guy on your show one time, and I think he did, I can't remember what it was. I forget is it parkour maybe or something? I can't remember. But it was something of that nature, and he had somebody in his – I can't remember what it was, but it was something like that. Mm-hmm. And he had gotten somebody who was very well known in that industry. They had like 1 million followers or something like that, and he literally just like casted – like they had no acting experience, and he casted them literally because of that, and it worked. But I can't remember what it was, but it was something of that nature, something close. Mm-hmm. But you do. And then like Christopher Shai, the reason that I got on Bloody Disgusting – which is like a huge horror website. It sounds like a kind of a ridiculous name, but they're amazing. And I got on there because of Christopher Shai had done my poster, and they were like, Christopher Shai releases this new poster, and it was my movie, and they showed the trailer and everything, and I'm like, that is amazing. They even like rated the trailer and like spoke about it and stuff, and it was all because of that. But it's all got to be like a calculated effort that you're thinking about consciously all the time of how your film is going to be portrayed, what the perception is to everyone, because I mean, as artists, you know that once your work is out there, it gets judged and it almost no longer belongs to you anymore. It's just how they perceive it to themselves. Adele will like release a song about like a bad breakup, and once she releases it to the world, doesn't belong to her anymore because everybody's singing that song and they're saying, "This is me. This was my breakup." Yeah. So once you release your art to the world, it doesn't even belong to you anymore. So now, you got to. Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
No. So with your t-shirts, I've seen the t-shirts because I've seen them flying through my Facebook feed, and they're gorgeous and they're amazing and they're so on brand with your niche audience that regardless if they ever see your movie, they'll buy the t-shirts because it's just something that niche audience would want to own just because the design is cool. So that's another thing that you could do is like, as you create those product lines for the niche, they don't specifically have to be all about your movie. But if you have that audience's attention, you could definitely do upsells and things like that for other products that they might be interested in. Like I always say, the Vegan Chef movie is the great example. You make the Vegan Chef movie, you make a cookbook about vegan chefs. You make a course on how to do, cooking classes and things like that aren't specifically your movie, but why wouldn't you take advantage of customers' attention? And also they'll thank you for it because it's something they want. Does that make sense?
Oh, I agree 100%. I mean, like even Drew Marvick, who you had on the show, he has like I love horror pins.
Yep.
That's it. Just as I love horror. And, but it's in relation to his movie. And, and then he has like hats and t-shirts and all that stuff. And it's all branded by him. But it all started because he was just doing like his t-shirts for his movie himself, and all of these other things came with it. But I agree 100%. And you'd be surprised, like people, I think filmmakers would be surprised how much that money that comes with those ancillary products outside of just the sale of your film.
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
all different money.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If you do it right, you could easily make more money off of ancillary product lines than your movie. And the movie becomes a free not a calling card, but it's a loss leader. It's kind of like just marketing for your products, which is great if you make a little bit of money on your movies, but it's about selling these other product lines or these other services or things that you've created. And that's where filmmakers really need to change their mindset, because if you can make a lot of money, and also be very successful being a filmmaker by not selling your film.
I think you've kind of cracked the code. So, and I'm testament to it because like you walked me through this path, and I feel like I'm a good case study, but you found, so every filmmaker that I've ever heard on any podcast is like, if you're trying to go into business to do this, then don't do this because there's no business in it. You're going to lose all your money. And that may be true to a degree, but I feel like you've kind of cracked the code on how you can make this a sustainable and successful business and an actual career path. Because of the things that you've set in place as your blueprint, because I literally just followed exactly what you said. And all of this stuff was true, and all of it works because I'm testimony to it. All of it worked.
That's awesome, man. And that makes me feel so good that, just me on a microphone here in Burbank, I get that information out to the world and it actually makes and affects people's lives. So I'm super cool. I'm super blessed and humbled by that.
What's funny about it is that people probably think, Alex just started this podcast 4 years ago, and, he was able to get some guy like me to make his film successful. But that's not true because Alex, he did start the podcast 4 years ago, but he's got like 20 plus years experience doing this. So he might have just started the podcast, but he like literally has been doing this forever. So it's not just 4 years, it's 20 plus years experience.
Yeah. And then this podcast has only been around at the point of this release will probably be around a month.
Yeah.
So, now you're selling your products and you're doing well with your product line, your t-shirts and stuff. I know that's not been a huge, but are you doing well with them?
Literally every day we get an order for something, and sometimes it's like overseas, and sometimes it's in states that I didn't even know. Like we had not even had a film festival play or anything, but every single day we get orders, and we've had to reorder shirts 4 times, which is and we've put in like massive orders that we didn't think we could get rid of. And then at our local premiere, we sold just as many as gazillions you sold out,
which we're going to get to that in a second, because that's a big part of what I wanted to talk to you about as well. But also on the did you do marketing while you were making the movie?
Oh yeah. So I'm pretty active on like the social media and stuff, and mostly just Facebook. But I know that like Twitter and Instagram are much bigger for people. But I just use Facebook, and it has been great for me. And like anytime we have any kind of news, I say something or I just contribute in some sort of way to like the horror fans in general. But I didn't pay a penny for marketing though, so I didn't pay any money. I just used my platform and my own audience that I had already built. That's
odd. And then you were also bringing them along during the production of the film, so they were kind of invested in what you were doing. Does that make sense?
Yep. That's exactly right. Yep. So throughout the entire process, they were getting updates and videos and photos and stills from set.
Did you build that audience prior to making the movie or while you were making the movie?
Most of it was prior. So,
okay.
So they knew something was coming, and then I would put out teasers and stuff and who's going to be in the film and if we made a casting decision or anything. So it was all through pre-production. But now that we have had the film out into the world, we've gotten like tons and tons of new people that and most of them, like, sadly, I released the trailer on my own personal Facebook account. Mm-hmm. So like they're all going there. So like I've gotten like, I don't know, 5,000 or more followers. I don't know, more since I've released the film. But I'm at like my friend limit. So like you're at like this, you have a boundary there. And so they're not going to the One Must Fall page. So I have to keep like directing them there, but it's still growing.
And that is a mistake that filmmakers should not do. You do not do it to your personal page. You do it to a fan page on Facebook because of that specific reason, because you don't want them to go to your page. You're gonna crap out there, and you're gonna limit out, and then you're done. But it's unlimited on that fan. It's on that fan page, and I learned that lesson a while ago. It's a lesson.
The trailer has 200,000 hits like instantly, and like they're all going to my Facebook, and like they can't get through to me. They can't even send me messages because they go to my filtered folder. There's all this mess, So yeah, I would totally not market the film. I mean, you can from your personal Facebook page, especially if you don't have like a crazy, not a ton of friends right now. But yeah, just use your your business profile because you can promote things and everything from there.
Now, what kind of distribution plan have you decided to go down with this film?
So far, we've gotten into like 59 festivals so far, and we still have like 60 more to go, I think. But wow. I'm going the broken path.
You just got volume, volume. Yeah. For everyone listening, my first film, Short Broken, went to almost 200 film festivals over the course of its lifetime. So that's what you're going to do. You're just going to keep pounding it out. Do you go there with T-shirts and things to sell at the festivals?
Yeah, and we do, and it's super cool. So like, we won't get a booth or anything, but usually most of the festivals will have like a filmmaker table, and people always buy our shirts, which is super cool. And anything that we have, usually they'll buy whatever, which is cool. Like if they dig the film, and the film's not for everybody, but yeah. So I was going down the film festival circuit, and I'm hoping to create like a little bit more festival buzz, and where people actually want the film, where there's a need for the film, so that I'll get a better deal. But I've had a lot of people come at me, producers, reps, sales agents, and stuff like that. And I'll tell you something really funny is I don't have any formal education on any of this stuff. I've never sat down in a meeting with any of these guys prior to this. But because I listen to the show so much, I have so much experience on people getting screwed over by producers, reps, and sales agents and distribution models that usually I can scare the bad guys away really quick.
That's amazing. So you basically started. You knew you knew the lexicon. You actually knew what those little keywords are, and you started. You knew what questions to ask because you heard the podcast, the IFH podcast, and that alone was able to scare off a lot of these predatory distributors.
Oh yeah, because if somebody doesn't have your best interest in mind, they just want to put you in a catalog with 500 other films and sell you together with those or something. A lot of filmmakers that I've heard on podcasts, including yours sometimes, they end up not owning their film, and they'll owe the distribution company a bunch of money. So they've worked their butt off making this film, and now they're in the red, and they don't even own the film anymore. Somebody else owns it for the next 17 years, and they're not going to see a dime ever. They actually owe the company money now. So, I've just made sure, there's like a marketing cap in the contract and all these things. And then I'll tell the story. I don't want to be in a catalog with 100 other films, and I don't want to be charged the same, marketing money that those, because they'll have the receipts to prove it. If they take, 200 guys out to lunch, they got all these receipts and they got 200 films in the catalog. They charge all those films that same money they have the receipts for because they got the receipts to prove it. And I don't want to be one of those guys. So yeah, I'll put all that stuff right on the table, and I don't want to be taken advantage of. And I would have gotten, if it wasn't for this show, the IFH show, I would have gotten taken advantage of, man. I would have lost everything already. Wow. I promise.
Wow. That's awesome that you were able to protect yourself against that kind of stuff, because I've heard that horror story too many times. And also, by the way, in the horror niche, in the horror genre, the distributors are even worse than in any other niche, from my experience, because they're just bad. They're really, really bad sometimes. Now, one thing I also want to ask you about actors. All the actors in your film, there's no big names in there at all.
No, they're all non-union, and then all I did was put a ad out on like Backstage Casting, and then like IMDb has one. There's a bunch of different websites, and most of them like they'll give you a coupon code to do it for free. Like if you just search that thing and then coupon code, you don't have to pay for anything. Like they want you to have casting calls out there and stuff. So I think we got like 1,000 of them, and I watched every single one, but it was a whole bunch. And then I made them do so I'd never done this before. So I had them, and my film is horror and comedy, so they have to be able to do both. So it was really difficult. So I had to do like a 3.5 minute monologue for comedy, a 3.5 minute monologue for horror, and I watched all of them front to back. But we got some really, really good prospects from all over Atlanta, LA. I live in Kentucky, which is a very small area for film here. But New York, all over, Pennsylvania. And then we just picked the best ones, and there weren't a ton of locals who were in the film, but we had to pay for travel and hotel costs and stuff like that, but it was worth it. So we got some really, really good people, and it's all non-union. So next time I think I'm going union with it. I'll go SAG, but this time we just did all non-union cast.
So that the reason I bring up the actors is because a lot of filmmakers think that you need to bring in some big actors to make a successful independent film. And even in the horror genre, it wouldn't hurt to hire a known horror celebrity, someone who was big, Robert Englund, or that's a big name in the horror genre. But those kind of actors who she was in the third Halloween, and then like, oh yeah, that's a big deal in the horror niche, isn't it? Like, because she has a table at those horror conventions and she's charging $50 a headshot to sign it. So she has the audience. So. And that actress would probably be more affordable than trying to go after a traditional, big name. But in your niche, it would be a big thing. But you have proven that even with where you're at right now in the distribution path that you're on, you don't need that if you are able to do a lot. If you're able to leverage so many other aspects like you've been leveraging, like your production value, your concept, your poster design, your trailer, all these other things. So it's very interesting to see how you've been able to be successful so far.
Well, thank you. So I did try, though. I tried to get a big name, and that everybody will know in the film. And we talked to a bunch of different people, from 80s cinema and stuff like that. But the sometimes the budget didn't work out, or the just things didn't work out. Somebody from Halloween 5 was going to play like the mother and the like who's on the phone or whatever for just like a brief moment. But we ended up just going with people who we thought were the best for the role, and who did the best and performed the best.
But I promise you now, if you call them again for your second film, it's going to be a lot easier.
I think so. Just making a movie and getting across the finish line is like a miracle in itself. Yep. And if it's actually good and like performs well, then like that is like super rare. So we've been super, super lucky with everything. But yeah, I mean, like it's just a big calculated effort that you have to military style plan everything. And horror, we're lucky that it's that audience that if for those who don't know, who may be listening, that if somebody goes and sees a comedy or let's say action, because comedy can get a pass too. Let's say if there's an action movie out and it's really, really good. And there's even been someone who's on this show who said that they made the grave mistake of not putting a big name in it because they made an action for a lot of money, and it looks awesome and it is awesome, but people will only go see action movies based on the star. So like if Jason Statham is in it, they will see it. Does not matter what it's about. Doesn't matter. He's got like 50 movie covers where he's like wearing a tie or like one button missing from his shirt, and he's got a gun, and that's all they need. That's it. Sold. But like horror, they'll give you a chance if the movie is good and the concept is good. So like if they've heard good things about the film, or if somebody says, if they read the concept and they like the concept, that's all they need. That's it. Or the trailer's dope and the poster's good. That's all they need. Horror fans are very resilient and they will give anything a shot because we're usually let down like 90% of the time. So we'll try it. We'll always try. But yeah, action. It's tough to make an action film without a star. You're probably gonna need a star if you're gonna plan on doing an action film and if you want to sell it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Unless again, if you're making an action movie in a niche that you can target, it's a different. So if you're making a NASCAR
Range
film,
15.
If you're making Range 15, a NASCAR film, you don't need a star. You might need some NASCAR drivers, and that's your stars. And there you go. So it's all relative. But if you're making a broad action film, no, it's going to be tough. If you're making a broad comedy, it's going to be extremely tough for you to do anything and make any sort of headway. But if you make a horror movie that's not even niche, because you have a niche of a niche, which yours is a slasher film. There's ghost stories, there's, paranormal, there's so many different kind of sub niches within the horror genre, but you made kind of like an 80s slasher flick, but then you also threw a little bit of comedy in there, which is helpful as well. So, now I wanted to also ask you about your private screening. That's really intrigued me, what you were able to do with this private screening. So can you tell the audience what the plan was about your private screening? And also for everybody listening, he did this private screening in not LA, not New York, not a huge city. He did it in his hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. So I want you to kind of lay out what you did with this screening. Yeah.
So basically, a lot of people told me not to do the screening, and I knew that through listening to your show, and it made a lot more sense. So they basically said, do not do a private screening unless it's just with friends and family, because you're going to ruin your box office numbers. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. It's going to be negative. Don't do it, blah, blah, blah. People who had experience, they've been in the industry a long time, probably bitter. And then Alex said, if you're going to do something, you need to four-wall it yourself. So you need to do this yourself, because you could probably make back the budget on just one screening of your entire film if you do it right. So to me, that actually made sense. He said, worst case scenario, you're going to pay a little bit of money, but everybody's going to be talking about the film. So that made sense to me. So I did. I set up a screening at the nicest theater that we have here. It looks like the freaking Venetian. It's beautiful. It doesn't even belong in Kentucky. Oh, thank you. And we love the place, and it's really hard to pack it. It's 2,500 seats, and basically we set up a bunch of activations get a photo booth with a bunch of body parts and stuff. We had 10 people walking around in hazmat suits and blood and body parts and radioactive bags, biohazard bags and stuff, and backdrops and scenes from the movie that were set up, so people could take pictures, VIP sections, food, everything. So 1,200 people showed up to it. So they come up to me midway through, and they're like, hey, you just passed Buckethead's numbers. He's the best guitar player in the world, and he was here a few weeks ago. You just passed him. And then they came up to me later on the night, hey, you're approaching Rob Zombie's number. You're about to beat Rob Zombie's numbers that he was just here recently. I'm like, this is insane. So we had 1,200 people come out. I paid $0 for advertising, nothing. I paid no money.
Wow.
And this was not the first time we screened the film. I mean, a lot of people from Kentucky had already seen it because they went to Cincinnati or they went to Indianapolis or wherever the film was showing. But I wanted to do my own. I wanted to control it on a beautiful screen, on really good sound. And yeah, we had 1,200 people come out, and then I had an after party where it was right next door at this place called Mercury Ballroom, also very beautiful. We did a Q&A there with the cast and crew, and then we had one of my favorite bands, The Pass, play. And if you do your screening right, you can make the budget of your film back plus some, for sure. So at 1,200 people with merch, you could definitely, see the budget of your film back if you did it right.
And you actually created an event. It's not a screening. It's an event. You did an entire all-encompassing vibe or event, it sounds like, with the photo booths and the this and the that. You completely thought like a filmtrepreneur and actually built out something that was something that everybody had to go to in your small town. Well, it's not small. Louisville, Kentucky is not a small town, but compared to LA or New York, it is a small town.
Yeah.
So but everybody in your local area was like, this is the thing to be at. I've got to go. And that is something that's very powerful. And people don't understand the power of their local community, because there's, just because it's not LA or New York or Chicago or some big city, there's still people there who would like to support local artists, who have money in their pockets, who want to give it to you if you present them with a good value proposition. And you didn't just put up a screen in a movie. You actually gave them a hell of a value proposition from what it sounds like.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And it was a big event. And then we had, lots and lots of sponsors. But I think that if you're planning on doing something like this, you also have to be in a situation where you can't be afraid to go on your street corner and hand out flyers. You might have to be a guy who dresses in a freaking hazmat suit and walks around to every convention. There's a guy, my friend Justin Seaman, he owns a company called Scream Team Releasing. And he says, if you're afraid to dress up like a scarecrow and hand out flyers, this industry is not for you. You know, this horror industry is not for you. You have to be that guy because nobody's going to do that for you. You know, I set up the entire event. I did all of that myself, and I never done that in my whole life. But you have to be willing to do all of those things. You can't be above going and hanging up posters at Qdoba and McDonald's and all the video stores and anywhere anybody goes.
Wait. There's video stores? You have video stores?
We do.
No.
We have video stores still. Yeah, we have a few of them. But like they're so spaced out that I had to drive to like other cities and other counties to do it. But awesome. I was willing to do that because I'm like, people are going there looking for dope movies. And if I have like a pretty good poster and I put it out there to the world, they're going to want to see, you know? So yeah, man, I put it in all the video stores and they were super cool and they let me. And you just got to ask and you can't be above that stuff. And, you know, if you don't want to spend $1 on promotion, then that's how you do it.
Man, and you hustled it and you did very well. Again, we won't talk specific numbers because you're still working out your deals, but you did well with it. You've done very well with it. From what I understand, you did well with it. So which is awesome. And it's a model. It's a model for other filmmakers to follow. Now I'm going to, first of all, what are the plans you have left for the film? Like what your goal is to try to find a distributor for this, or are you thinking of doing a self-distribution run on this?
I think we're going to find a distributor. So, I know a few people who have helped me, you namely, you've given me a lot of advice on, so Alex, he has a Facebook group, by the way, and he contributes a lot to that Facebook group, but there's also a lot of members in that group who've been through your journey as well, who can also help you. But Alex specifically through the show and indirectly, he has kind of guided me down the path on what I should do with this film. And what I think that I should do is get a little bit more festival buzz so that it's a little bit more high in demand, and then we'll be worth a little bit more, and then we'll see. So all the distributors that I talk to, they want to buy it like right now. They don't want me to go down that path just yet because I'll be cheaper right now. I think. But that's what they all tell me. It doesn't matter how many awards you have, doesn't matter how many laurels you have, doesn't matter the interest. We'll just judge it based on the film itself, and I don't believe that. I think if you have an audience, you have a big audience and a rabid audience, you will be worth, I promise you'll be worth more. And basically that's what I'm trying to do, is try to go down that path so that people are talking and that it's in demand. And then, then you'll have advocates out there in the world. And that's exactly what you told me. And that's what's working. And that's what makes sense to me too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't matter. Like you could also carve out those distribution rights a little bit depending on the distributor you work with, where you can carve out SVOD or TVOD or international, and you can piecemeal the whole thing out. And you still have your ancillary products, man. You still have revenue coming in from this movie, regardless of what happens with the movie, which is the model of being a filmtrepreneur. It really is, without question, man. So I congratulate you on your success and continued success with this film. And thank you for coming on the show and really, laying it out for us. Now I'm going to ask you a few questions that I ask all of my filmtrepreneurs. What advice would you give a filmtrepreneur starting a project today?
If you were just now starting a project and you didn't know what you were doing, you had no clue what you were doing, I've got a couple ways that you can come up with an idea. Okay, so first, that's what I'll say. So come up with the idea first, and then just figure out how you're going to do it. I mean, that's clear. But if you don't even know how to get the idea, think of your favorite 3 directors. And then what if you worked on a project with each of them? Like, what if you worked on a project with Sam Raimi? What if you worked on a project with, John Carpenter? What would you guys do together? And then think of another way to think about that is, what is a movie that you wished that you had saw, maybe in the 80s or growing up or whatever, that never came out? Or what's a movie that you wish this director has done that hasn't done it? Start there. If you don't even have an idea, start there. Then get your idea and then just put it out into the world. Say something on Facebook. I'm making a movie. Hold me to it. And guess what? They're going to hold you to it and you're going to do it. But put it out there into the world. You got to start speaking it into existence. I think that is the first thing. And then once you do, you'll be surprised how much support you have. And if you don't have support, might be even better, because negativity drives me so much more than positive.
It's good fuel.
People say, you can't do it. Then you're going to be like, oh, you watch me. I'm going to do it. And you're going to do it. Put it out to the world. Speak it into existence. I say that's the first thing.
People who say you can't do it shouldn't interrupt the people who are doing it, as they say.
So good. So good, man.
Ancient Chinese proverb, sir. Now, what is the biggest lesson you have learned from making this film?
The biggest lesson that I learned probably is you have to have patience with these things, and you can't really rush the process. So I think that oftentimes you're really going to want to rush the process and get right into it and stuff like that, but it will only hurt you. It will only hurt you. So just even if you have to make somebody mad, even if you lose a little bit of money, even if you have to reschedule things and it's going to be a lot of work, just don't rush it. Just try your best not to rush this process, because it requires a lot of patience, Mm-hmm. And even like right now, the film now, I shot it, I think, a year and a half ago, and I really want to get it out of my hair and move on to the next thing. And but you just got to have patience, I could have took the first deal, but I would have had a different conversation with you today, mm-hmm. Because it would have been a bad situation. But you just have to have patience in this industry, and I think that's very important.
Now, what is the lesson you learned from your biggest filmmaking or business failure?
Oh, wow. That's such a great question. So I think that that also. So I like to have full creative control over things, or if I can't, I like to have people on my crew that are much better than me at that thing. And you have to be very honest with yourself. So like if you really feel like somebody does not belong, or they're a real jerk on set, or they're showing you all these red flags early, you have to get rid of them. You have to get rid of, even if it's your life. So let's even take filmmaking out of the equation. You are the CEO of your life. And if you got employees in your life who are acting wrong and they're doing bad, go home and fire some people, right? But if you yourself are out here saying, oh, I hate that girl, and this girl said this, that girl said that, and blah, 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 you put it on Facebook, that's your brand. But I think you got to remove all this negativity from your life. You got to remove it from your film set. And if you don't, it will it will derail all of your plans. It will derail all of them. So remove any negativity from your life and catch it early. It takes a skill to identify it. But if you can identify it, get it out right now, today. Because I'll tell you this, if somebody's negative to me, I delete them out my phone. I delete them off my phone. And guess what? Every time my phone rings, it's good news. It's positive.
Preach, brother, preach. And last question, what makes you a filmtrepreneur?
I don't know, man. I'm just your robot. I'm just your robot, man. I just did what you said. So, but I think that what it means to be a filmtrepreneur, I think that you are running your own business. And if you look at film as a business, it's a creative outlet. And it will be your creative outlet, and you're going to do something amazing. But you have to treat it like a business, or else it will fail. It will fail. If people don't see you created this film so people can see it. And you might say, no, I didn't. I did it for me. Yes, you did. You did it for you. But if you were the last person on earth, you wouldn't want to make a film no more. You would not. There wouldn't be you would want to make one. You got to have people see this thing, man. And you have to treat it like a business. You have to market this thing, or else no one is going to see it. People aren't just going to come to you. You got to show it to the world. You got to get it out there. So to me, I think you have to treat this thing like a business. You cannot fail at the business aspect of it, or you will be broke. And eventually, maybe you can have people handle that stuff and the money side of things, and you just be creative. But today, if you're listening to this show right now, something brought you here, and you're at a micro budget level, you got to be all those things. You can't just be the director. You can't just be the cinematographer. You got to be all of it. You got to do it all. And if you don't like to hold a camera, you can hire somebody, but you have to handle the business side. There is no escape. That is the one thing you have to do. You have to handle the business. You have to handle the marketing.
Man.
You got enough money to do all of it, good for you. But right now, save your money.
Because
film with that.
And when you do have the money to do that, because you did it without money at the beginning, boy, you'll be a lot smarter when you have the money, right? Like if someone gave you $50,000 for marketing, I'm sure you'll be able to do a lot more with it than if you had never done it yourself.
Oh, I agree 100%. Because you know the ropes by that time. But I'd say that my biggest piece of advice, and I made a video about this, is go to Indie Film Hustle. Listen to it from episode 1. I promise you that you will take so much more from that than you will with anything else that you'll do in this entire industry.
I appreciate
Start from
that,
episode
man.
1, listen to every single one, because it will not. you will learn everything that you need to know right there. I'm dead serious.
And this podcast too as well.
Yeah, of course, this podcast. Of course, you have to keep on listening to this podcast long after you're done with your film, because it will help you throughout. You'll hear stories like this one, man. Success stories, and maybe some that aren't so successful, but you can learn from both.
Awesome, brother. And then where can people find you and your movie and more things about that you're working on?
Don't look at me. Just look at filmtrepreneur.com, because that's all you need. You ain't got to learn nothing from me.
No, but if they want to know about your movie, get your movie. I'm trying to promote your stuff, baby. Come on. Let me promote your stuff. Come on. It's good.
My film's called One Must Fall. It's facebook.com/OneMustFallMovie. OneMustFallMovie.com, One Must Fall Movie on Instagram, all that stuff. And then I'm Antonio Pantoja. If you guys need anything, anytime, I'm always down to help. I give back to this community every single day. I live for giving back to this community. So my name's Antonio Pantoja. It's a soft J, like jalapeno, Pantoja, Pantoja. Just find me on the Instagram, Facebook. I'm all over the place. But I am always down to help you. Always send me a message. Always send me an email, and I will always be here to help you. AntonioPantoja.com.
Thank you, brother, so much for these knowledge bombs on the tribe today, brother. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks again for being on the show, bro.
It's the biggest honor. I'm so thankful, man. Thank you.
I want to thank Antonio for coming on, man, and being so transparent and so willing to drop amazing knowledge bombs and also inspiration bombs on the Filmtrepreneur tribe today. Thank you again so much, Antonio. And if you want to check out the trailer for his movie One Must Fall, plus artwork and other things that we talked about, head over to the show notes at filmtrepreneur.com/010. And guys, if you haven't already, go over to filmbizbook.com. That's filmbizbook.com, and check out my new book that I'm writing, Rise of the Filmtrepreneur: How to Turn Your Movie into a Money-Making Business. It's going to be coming out in October, but you can pre-order it now on Amazon. So again, just go to filmbizbook.com. That's filmbizbook.com. Thank you guys again so much for listening. I hope this episode was of value to you on your Filmtrepreneur journey. Thank you again so much. And as always, the power is in your hands. Be a Filmtrepreneur. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Filmtrepreneur podcast at filmtrepreneur.com.